Right, we're going to carry on with this. Let's just get that. Okay, so you've got a nerve cell here. Remember what we said? There's three. There's the sensory neuron, the relay neuron, and the what they call it, motor neuron. We need to know how to draw them too, or the structure of them anyway. Right. This is the cell body. That bit inside is the nucleus. The signals travel in this direction. So the part that the signals travel towards the cell body are called dendrites or dendrons. So the small ones are dendrites, lead on to dendrons, and then as the signal goes away from the cell body, this thing here is called the axon, and it's covered in these little covers. They're called myelin sheaths. Myelin sheaths. They're to stop the impulses or the nerves or the neurons short circuiting. So the impulse is traveling in this direction. So the impulse, that's the electrical signal. Right, name the structure A. We said it's a nucleus. Name structure B is the axon. Draw an arrow on the diagram to show the direction of the impulse. Yeah. So remember, this is a motor neuron. Right, a relay neuron would look something like this. So you got the cell body here and it carries on. So this part would be the dendron because the impulse is traveling in that way. And then as soon as it gets past the cell body, it becomes an axon. Describe the role of this neuron in a simple reflex arc. Right. This passes on the impulse or the electrical impulse. Let's just use that electrical impulse to the effector. So impulse is one mark, effector is the other mark. Right, let's move on. What they're saying is, how do nerves differ from hormones in terms of communication? The most obvious one you could put in always, yeah, is nerves use electrical impulses and hormones use chemical messengers and travel in blood. Right. Nerves have a quick response. Hormones take longer to respond. Nerves. The nerves target specific cells or areas or organs, whilst hormones travel all over the body via the bloodstream. Another one, you can say nerves are the nervous impulses are short lived, whilst hormones have a longer lasting effect. Right, okay, let's move on. Right, so what we're doing is we are looking at, let's use red. Right, hormones are chemicals that are produced by endocrine glands and are secreted into the bloodstream, into the blood. Yeah, the hormones are then transported to target cells in another part of the body. Males have testes that produce the sex hormone testosterone that causes body hair to grow. Females have ovaries that produce sex hormones estrogen and progesterone. Pancreas produces hormones that regulate blood glucose. One of these hormones is called insulin, which stimulates the conversion of blood glucose into glycogen. Stimulates the blood glucose to stimulates the conversion to and stored in the liver. Okay. Another hormone causes heart rate to increase in response to danger. So this is called adrenaline. Right, okay. So this is a reflex arc, automatic response to danger. So you've touched something sharp. This is the sensory neuron. That's the cell body. It goes into the central nervous system. This is your spine. Right. Then what happens is it goes across the relay neuron. Can make that bigger. Yeah. And then it travels down the motor neuron all the way down to the effector, and this is the effector, in effect the muscle. Right, name the neuron P. That is the sensory neuron. Where's R? Okay, so this is what we said. Remember, there's the end of one neuron, there's the start of another neuron, say. So there's a gap here. So what we need to do is so this gap is called the synapse. You have to use the word synapse. When the impulse gets to here, it fires off a chemical called a neurotransmitter. It diffuses across this gap, gets to here, and then starts another impulse. And that's what we've got to say. So at the synapse, the neurotransmitter diffuses across and starts another impulse in the relay neuron in this case. Right, draw a label diagram of a motor neuron. This, oh, okay, so they've not. So there's 3 marks there. A motor neuron. So that's going to look something like this. I'm going to just change color. So there. And then I'm going to just draw. So it leaves there. And then ends up. Loads of these. Right, now what I'm going to do is just quickly label these. So this is the cell body. So that is the cell body. That is the nucleus. The signals, the impulse is going that way. So these are the dendrons and dendrites. So if I just put dendron, and the smaller ones off that are dendrites. So the impulse is traveling this way. So it travels along the axon. So it goes from being called a dendron to an axon. This cover, these cells are called a myelin sheath. It stops it short circuiting. Right, and that should do it. It's only 3 marks. Right, explain the role of the motor neuron in this response. So the motor neuron carries the impulse to the effector, and which is a muscle, and the muscle then contracts. That'll cover it. The body controls its internal environment. An example of this is the concentration of blood. Give the name for controlling the. So when your body controls its internal environment, it's called homeostasis. So that means steady or same, and stasis means state. For controlling blood concentration is called osmoregulation. When you see the word osmo, think of water. So when you're regulating the water, you're controlling the water in the blood, and hence blood concentration. Right. A person entering a warm environment may become dehydrated. Explain how the concentration of the blood is restored. So what you do, you have right. at the base of your brain, you've got a pituitary gland, and that well, there's some receptor cells here. They're called osmoreceptors. They detect that your blood concentration's gone up, so they send a signal to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland releases something called ADH. What does ADH stand for? Antidiuretic hormone. It goes to the, what is that? That is a kidney. There's a collecting duct in there which is part of a nephron. So it makes the collecting duct more permeable. So that absorbs, it absorbs more water back into the body via the blood. So it makes the blood less concentrated and the urine more concentrated. So we've got to write that. So the pituitary, we can just do it, it's only 4 markers. The pituitary gland releases antidiuretic hormone into the blood. Right, it travels to the kidneys and in particular the collecting duct and makes them more permeable. So more water is absorbed back into the blood, making it less concentrated. Right, what else happens is also making the urine more concentrated. Okay, that should cover it. Right, we've done this before where you're stating differences between nerves, and so we said that the nerves use impulses and the hormones use chemicals secreted in the blood. Nerves, the nervous communication the nerves are quicker. The nerves are short lasting. The nerves are quicker, nerves are shorter lasting. What else can you say? Right, nerves target specific areas or cells, whilst the hormones travel all over the body in the bloodstream. Okay, that should be good enough. Right. Which hormone causes the development of secondary sexual characteristics? Right, I know it's not adrenaline or testosterone. And I always get confused between these two, so it's that one. So that's responsible for secondary sexual characteristics in girls. Which hormone causes increase in blood flow? I found this one to be a bit strange. I thought it might have been that, but it's adrenaline, because I thought that makes you it makes you more aggressive and is responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics in boys. So it's adrenaline. I thought it got you ready for exercise rather than during exercise, but maybe yes, that makes sense. Which of these is a correct statement about hormones? They are always no. They are carried by neurons. Nope, that's in the blood. They are transported. Okay, they always produce a no. They're definitely not. Slow. They're carried in the blood, and plasma is part of the blood. Right. You've got plants produce auxins. Some biologists do not consider an auxin to be a hormone. Right, auxins are not, oh my word, did I just write that? Are not produced by endocrine glands and do not travel in the blood. I think that should be 2 marks. That should be enough. Where are we? Whoa, I was fighting everything there. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, one more thing that they've said is auxins have a different effect on the roots and shoots. Right, that should do it. That's that done.